Thank you for watching the Cinefanatics, and you can tell that we are the Cinefanatics because we have spent $8 to be verified with a check mark. So thank you for watching the Cinefanatics. On with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tagline. We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams, and as always, I am joined by the world's sexiest man, Chris Evans, Captain America.
Oh, also what you should have done there is you should have done Chris Evans.
Well, whatever. I mean, I can only do that joke so much. Like half the damn population of the world's named Chris in some form or another.
I'm this name.
Yeah,
I'm Chris Adams.
One of you Chris's decided to go the smart route and call yourselves Topher instead, but whatever.
No. Ugh. Then I'd be identified with that Topher Grace dude who butchered Venom.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord, that was a terrible Venom. Anyways, I see people in chat. I see Nerd. I see Vernon. I see Garth. I see Nerd again. I see Vernon again. And I see Lego, who is adopting the completely let's get rid of the letter C and go with the letter K instead. So
she can do what she wants, but I disagree.
If y'all don't get that reference, make sure you follow comments and stuff on Twitter. These are our Twitter things here that you can follow us on. So yeah, follow there. All the fun stuff on that Elon Musk platform over there. Anyways,
which by the way, just to be clear about this, we did not spend $8 to be verified on Twitter.
No, we didn't.
And I don't want to be because I don't want to be verified along with first name bunch of numbers.
First name bunch of them. Yeah. Anyways, so this is the Cinefanatics, the place or the tagline. This is the place where the tagline is the title, and we're going to talk about movie news and whatnot. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I've taken a muscle relaxer 2 days in a row. I'm tired.
I bet. There's another reason we're tired. We'll get into that here in a second. But let's knock out the YouTube stuff real quick. Over here above Chris is streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. If you would like to question us, complain to us, anything, feel free to send it over there. That's the best way to get our attention. Much like Garth McMurray has already done, starting off commenting, nice thumbnail. One of the people in the thumbnail helped pay for Chris's new ultra-wide camera lens. Was it Taika Watiti? Did Taika Watiti donate money? That's nice of Taika Watiti. So thank you, Garth, for that. Anyways, if you want to be like Garth, feel free to comment and send like a number along with that comment to streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Also, you can go to patreon.com/cinefanatics if you feel the need to support us, if you feel like we are worthy of your support and you can financially afford to do that. Jump on the Patreon tiers over there. Choose the tier that is good for you. Speaking of which, coming up, we have our movie watch along. If you are at the $5 due tier, you can join us. That is going to be, we're going to be watching Knives Out in preparation for Glass Onion coming out, I believe, towards the end of this month. So come join us for that. It's going to be a fun watch along. I don't think I've actually seen Knives Out since seeing it in the theater. So, and I didn't hate it. I thought it was a good movie. So eager to watch that again. If we're not going to be spoiling anything, so if you haven't seen it yet, feel free to come join us if you would like. It's going to be a fun time. That is going to be Wednesday the 16th. I'm shooting for, I believe, and I didn't ask my brother about this beforehand, but Wednesday after, technically it's going to be after Tagline, but so I'm thinking roughly around like 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. That puts it 10:30 for us.
Are we putting that right immediately after Tagline or like 30 minutes after Tagline?
I had to guesstimate it because I don't know if Tagline could be potentially like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours that night. Who knows? So I'm setting it for.
I think it's one of those, like, as soon as Tagline's over, y'all just jump into the Discord, give us like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. So that's the idea with this is moving the Patreon stuff to Wednesday nights. That way, it just works better with our schedules currently. So that is the movie watch along. The trivia hangout for this month is going to be Wednesday the 30th. So that's the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. That also like right after Tagline or around 8:30, 11:30, whatever. Trivia hangout this month, we're going to be doing Christmas movies. So kind of like those of y'all who are part of it this past month, I wrote out like an entire like trivia game, all horror movie questions. We're going to do that again. This one's going to be Christmas movies. Why are we doing Christmas movies in November and not in December? You'll see when we get to December. So the December one's going to be fun. So
because
it's
it's November 30th, and November 30th is basically December anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's at that point, it's after Thanksgiving, which I feel like is like you can officially celebrate Christmas after Thanksgiving.
That's usually most people's threshold for starting Christmas. I'm cool with starting it as early as possible this month, but I know a lot of people's threshold is after Thanksgiving.
I'm not a big fan. I'm okay with it. Like, I'll let it go because what am I going to do about it anyways? But I'm not a fan of Christmas. So starting Christmas until after Thanksgiving. I do like, let's enjoy Thanksgiving and what Thanksgiving's able to do. And then we'll do Christmas after Thanksgiving's over.
It's all mashed into the same 2-month time span of just holidays and fun merriment to me. So
yeah.
It's all part of the same thing.
Anyways, so that's what's coming up on Patreon. Real quick, I do see in the chat Garth is saying that I am too well lit and you see all my pores and shiny forehead. Stop staring at my pores, Garth. Feel like we've had this conversation before.
You get a little makeup.
Yeah, I probably need to change some of this. So yes, I did get a new camera. This is a new view, so I'm still working on nailing down exactly the lighting and exposure.
I know exactly what you need. You need something to soften that lighting.
Yeah, it is kind of like really harsh. So anyways, we'll work on that sometime later.
In the future.
Coming up, upcoming shows. So of course we've already talked about this. We do have the marquee coming up at the end of this month. It is going to be Friday, November 25th, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, live. We are going to be doing food movies for the month of November. So seems like that makes sense. There's a lot of food going on, especially this is going to be the Friday after Thanksgiving. So everyone will probably still be full of food. Let's talk about food movies. So, that'll be a lot of fun. Come join us for that. The other big one that we are going to announce, we've talked about this before. Now we actually have a hard date. This is the reason why we're kind of tired, because we just, right before this, we got done recording, whatever, the very first episode of the Cinefanatics podcast. That is coming out this Tuesday, November 15th. So there is going to be the audio component wherever you get your podcasts at. There's also going to be a video version of it on YouTube here. So you will be able to watch that. I don't know what time on Tuesday. I haven't quite figured out the details on that, but yeah, the very first episode will be this coming Tuesday, the 15th. So be on the lookout for that. We will probably be blasting and tweeting all about that on Tuesday. But yeah, there you go. It was a lot of fun. Like that was a lot of fun to film. I enjoyed doing that. So those are going to be great. I have really high expectations for how well the podcast episodes are going to go.
Yep. They'll be good.
Anyways, moving on, let's look at what movies have you watched over this past week. I know we didn't do Tagline last week. So over the past, like, say, 2 weeks, what new movies have you watched, Chris? And anyone in the chat too. What new movies have y'all caught? Is there anything that we need to check out?
Oh, there's actually 2 movies. We have one on my list here, but there's actually 2 movies I watched. First of which is one that we're going to be probably talking about when I say probably, I mean we will definitely be talking about on the marquee at the end of this month. And that is Julie and Julia. So there's an example of one movie that is going to be on our food movies podcast. Not podcast. God, we did a podcast. We did the podcast earlier and I just got podcast. Food movies marquee for this month. So probably hear a little bit more about what I think about around then, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice little movie. I did watch it. Absolutely did watch it on the day that we found out that the woman that our sister Amy Adams is playing in that movie, Julie, she did pass away at a very young age. And so in her honor, I watched Julie and Julia for the first time. It was a really good movie. It was really good. Great story. Great connection between the two of them. So can't wait to talk about that and rank it on the marquee later on this month. The other movie I watched, first time watch, is a new movie. Y'all saw me tweet about it before. New movie this month, or just this year, is See How They Run. It's a whodunit set in the 50s in the London, I believe it's the West End, I believe is the term for the theater district in London.
The West Side?
And it is... What?
Nothing. Never mind.
Okay. And it stars Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well written movie. There's a lot about it that I think is fascinating. You love those whodunits where it's kind of a mystery. You don't know who did the thing. That's why they call it a whodunit. But the way it all shakes out and how it shakes out by the end of it, I thought was actually really well handled. And I'm surprised that I know like a couple people were talking about it when it came out, but I'm surprised we haven't seen more people talking about this movie because of like how clever and well done it is. So that's one that's going to end up it might end up pretty high on my year-end list, honestly, just because of how just well done it was. So I liked it. I recommend it. It's on HBO Max. Julie and Julia is somewhere.
Yeah,
I can't remember where.
I need to watch that.
It's on Hulu. Julie and Julia is on Hulu. That's right.
Nice to know, because I need to watch that one also. Let me see. So I think this is kind of surprising. Over the past 2 weeks, I've only watched one new movie. And that was Weird, the Al Yankovic story. What's funny about that is it took me like 4 nights to get to it. I kept trying to get to it, and I just wasn't able to. Something else kept popping up, something else that I was like, oh, I'd rather do that. So finally got to watching it. It was okay. Like I'm not gonna go like into too much details. If anyone knows anything about it, it's supposed to be like a biopic, but it's very, very extremely loose on that. It's basically a parody of a biopic.
That's
so
clever.
Yeah, and I think that was something I liked when it first started. Once I picked up on the fact that like everyone was okay with the fact that like playing an accordion was cool, and there's like polka parties where all the cool teenage kids hang out, I'm like, that's funny. Then I started realizing it's all a parody. Then I feel like that joke kind of like wore itself out like real quick. Like everything that is like hip and cool to Weird Al is typically like some white nerdy stuff that we see, and it flipped it where that was like supposed to be cool. So like, yeah, I feel like that joke kind of like wore thin pretty quick, but otherwise there's a lot of like some funny stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like any idea like how some of his songs actually came together. There's some good moments in that. But yeah, I do recommend it.
There you go.
I think that's like the only new movie over the past like couple of weeks I watched. So let me see. In the chat, I got Lego is saying Wendell and Wild was cute. I haven't even heard of that. See, Lego also watched The Munsters, I'm guessing the Rob Zombie movie. I really don't have that much interest in it, though I wasn't a big fan of The Munsters, the TV show either. Like I'm familiar enough with like Fred Gwynn was Herman Munster. Yeah, it's about it. Garth watched Enola Holmes 2. Is that already out?
Apparently it is.
Enola Holmes 2. I thought they were like still in the process of filming it. Okay. Frequently asked questions about time travel and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood since seeing it in the theater, so I might need to rewatch that again. So I remember it was pretty decent, but Tyler says that he rewatched Army of Darkness. It's the only movie of the Evil Dead series Chris could possibly stomach. Yeah, and I've told him that. Like, you could watch Army of Darkness, and I don't feel like you don't need to have watched Evil Dead 1 and 2 to be able to watch Army of Darkness. I mean, especially so in this household, Chris is familiar with who Ash is, the Deadites, the Necronomicon Book of the Dead, because I'm his brother. So, I mean, he knows all about like basically the storyline of the Evil Dead movies anyways, without actually having watched the Evil Dead movies. So, yeah, I feel like if he was to ever watch Army of Darkness, he'd easily be able to follow along with what's going on. But, yeah, it's just not quite his movie, right?
Nope.
Anyways. Maybe someday that might be one of those, like, as we get closer to a Halloween one year, we'll do a watch along of Army of Darkness just to force his hand at it. But like, it's a horror movie you could watch.
You can't force my hand on anything.
That is not a sentence I want to hear ever again.
Nobody forced my hand on The Shining or The Thing.
Yeah, but you know that those are good classic movies. So those are like in the case that like it's a classic movie, you haven't seen it, you should watch it at least once in your life. Yeah. So anyways, I think that's it for all the movies we've watched for the most part. Let us get into movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
How's the box office looking, Chris?
It looks interesting. Yeah, it does look box office-y. It looks interesting. There's some interesting things to talk about here. So number one in the box office. I love this game. Can we guess what it is?
We haven't seen anything new lately. So, what was the last big movie that came out? What was the last movie that we saw? I can't remember that.
Well, if I tell you that, you'll probably figure it out.
I don't.
Yes, you're right. It's Black Adam. Black Adam is still number one in the box office for 3 weeks in a row.
That would be it. It's not going to be there after this weekend.
Another superhero movie with the word black in it is going to probably be in its place this weekend. Just a hunch, just a big old hunch, just a big old guess, you know. Number two, interestingly, or I should say number one, was Black Adam, made another 18.2 million, with a 33% drop since week two. Not too bad for a week 2 to 3 drop. But I do see a total gross. Total gross right now is 137 million for Black Adam. So I think that's domestic. That's its total domestic gross at the moment. Not bad. Number two, we've got the One Piece film Red. Now, I say that, and this one has no idea what I'm talking about.
The only thing I think, hey, correct me if I'm wrong, One Piece is like an anime cartoon that
I'm surprised you know that.
That involves, we're going to test to see how much of this I actually know, because this is the first time I'm actually verbalizing anything that I know about One Piece at all. It's an anime cartoon that takes place like on a pirate ship, and the kid is able to stretch and grow, kind of like how Miss Marvel's able in the comics, not the TV show, but she's able to like stretch and grow, make her hands bigger or something like that.
I'm going to go with I guess so, because my knowledge is I think the main character's name is Luffy or something like that, and it's an anime. That's what I got. Okay. So it is just like we saw Dragon Ball Z come out a little bit ago. It's opening pretty wide in the domestic box office because anime has a lot of fans. It has a pretty far reach in terms of its audience. So it's no surprise that it's opening pretty high. at the number 2 spot. Now it is opening at number 2 with 9.3 million. So, it is about half of what Black Adam made this last weekend, but still enough to get it to the number 2 spot. The number 3 spot, which was at number 2 last weekend, is that Ticket to Paradise, that George Clooney and Julia Roberts movie, which I actually wouldn't mind watching that the second it hits some kind of streaming. It sounds delightful.
Believe it's available for streaming now.
Already? Wow.
I don't know if it's on like a major streaming platform or if it's just available to rent. Streaming,
if it's on a streaming platform, whenever it hits a streaming platform, whether it's on it now or will be soon, it'll probably be on Peacock, considering it's a Universal Pictures movie.
Okay.
So there you go. Number 4 was number 4 last week. I know obviously we didn't cover box office last week, so I'm saying all these things, but we weren't here to cover it. But number 4 last week and number 4 this week is Smile. Smile's still hanging out in the top 5. So
that's what I like seeing is horror movies that are still hanging on after Halloween.
And it's been out for 6 weeks, so
because Smile came out at the end of September.
It's had a pretty full run already so far, so that's not bad for that. Number 5 is a movie that's in its second week, opened last week, called Pray for the Devil.
Okay,
so it's Pray, Prey.
Yeah,
that opened to about 3 million. So in its second week at number 5 spot was number 3 last week. Yep. Number 6 was number 7 last week. This one actually went up a spot, and that's Lyle Crocodile. I think we're reaching the time period of the year where those family films are going to be hitting pretty hard, because kids are going to be out of school, parents are going to be off work, everyone's going to want to do something together. They're going to go to the movie theater. It's going to happen probably around Thanksgiving time and around Christmas time. Just a nice little easy family hangout.
Yeah, we're going to get hit with family movies and Oscar bait.
Yep. Which is great counter programming, because the kids have no interest in the number 7 and the 7th movie on the box office list, which is the Banshees of Inisherin. The kids don't care about that movie. The adults do. I've heard good things about this. I actually kind of want to see that.
Is this that Colin Farrell?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. Colin Farrell and
Brendan Gleeson.
Yep. So I actually heard a lot of really good things about that. I am actually interested in seeing it. Number 8 in the box office this weekend is Till. Fell from the number 6 spot. Number 9. Surprised this is still in the top 10. Wouldn't be surprised if it's not in the top 10 next week. It won't be. I'm going to put a guarantee it's not going to be the top 10 next week. And that's Halloween Ends.
Oh, God. Yeah.
The fact that movie's at number 9 right now is crazy. It's not going to be in the top 10 next week. I feel like I can promise that. However, at number 10, which I also will say is probably not going to be number 10 next week, Terrifier 2.
I'm kind of hoping that Terrifier is still going to hold out like next week. Like Halloween Ends is just going to drop under it, and Terrifier 2 will end up still being number 10, but everything else is going to get pushed down, and Halloween Ends is what's going to fall out.
Yeah. I think both will end up probably falling out.
I mean, again, I've professed my love for Terrifier 2 already. It's like the little indie horror movie that could. Like, not only is it an indie horror movie, but it's, again, one of the goriest, most brutal movies, and it's still holding on and doing so well. So, yeah. I love watching like all the cast and the director, their interactions on Twitter. Like, they are just, every time I see them responding to anything, they are like beside themselves. Like, oh my God, thank you. You love me. You really love me type of thing. And it's really cute to see. I love watching their reactions on it. So,
yep. Other things to note on the box office from this last weekend. The Woman King was at number 9, fell to number 11, just out of the top 10. Armageddon Time was at number 25 last week and rose up to number 12, which is crazy. Tar was at number 10 last week, is now at number 13. Triangle of Sadness, which last time we did box office was in the top 10, but has fallen back down to 14. And we know Don't Worry, Darling, which we did see, has fallen out of the top 10 and is at place number 16 right now.
Is also available on streaming on HBO, I believe.
Amsterdam has fallen really hard. It is at number 21. And do you want to know where Barbarian is? That's 23. The only other thing that would be interesting to mention at this point is I'm scrolling through the top.
Where's Maverick?
46 here, and I'm not seeing Top Gun Maverick anywhere.
Like it's completely fallen off the charts completely.
Yeah, unless there's like a page 2, which I don't have a page 2 to scroll to. It looks like it's not in the top 46 movies.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, it should be. It's available for home viewing now. I see that it was available to snag from the red boxes that are local. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's like hitting streaming just quite yet, but home viewing, it's been out in theaters for dang near half a year. So, it's about that time for it to have moseyed on down the road or down the sky, I guess. Anyway. That's your box office.
Cool. All right. So movie news.
Movie news. Well, so we have a little bit of news about a little film called I mean, it's not a surprise at this point. Here's the thing. Literally just saw the story before we went live. Interesting to note. It's also a couple weeks old, but news is news. The folks behind the movie Oppenheimer.
Real quick though.
No.
Hold on. I know Garth is in the hospital and like best wishes. Hope he gets a speedy recovery. So he's watching this while in a hospital. I'm wondering if he's hooked up to any kind of heart monitors, and when you blasted that the Barbie watch, like his heart monitor jumps and like starts. The nurses are rushing in. The defibrillator, like he's got it already.
Oh well, okay, Garth. Then in that case, so.
Hurry up and get better, Garth. Get out of the hospital so we can scare you in the privacy of your own home with
that. So Lego, is Oppenheimer moving their date because they're afraid of the competition? That is the news story that I wanted to actually speak about right now before my brother interrupted me for his little anecdote. The news story is that Oppenheimer is supposed to release the same day as Barbie, and the folks behind it, they don't care. They're cool with it. All right. They're like, whatever. We don't expect it to be that big of a bother. It's fine. People are going to go see Barbie. That's fine. People can come see Oppenheimer too. So they're not scared. They're not scared about Barbie. Maybe they should be. I don't know. But I mean, let's talk about like Oppenheimer. That movie is. So look at how these two movies sell. Barbie's well known. Barbie is Barbie. Barbie sells on the Barbie name. The cast looks good for Barbie. We look at the cast, we're like, hey, cool, sold. Now, for those of us who are like deeper in the trenches of looking at who is doing what and movie news and all of that stuff, I'm interested in Barbie beyond just who's playing it, and for the fact that Greta Gerwig is directing it. And I'm just curious about a Greta Gerwig directed Barbie movie. I think it's going to be fascinating. On the other hand, you got Oppenheimer. Maybe not as accessible to general audiences because Barbie is just a little bit more
in the
synonym for accessible. Yeah, a little bit more synonym for accessible. Oppenheimer, on the other hand, is about Oppenheimer. What's father of the nuclear bomb or something?
The
atomic bomb?
Yeah.
One of those two. Same thing, whatever. The father of the big boom. It's got a good cast and it's got Christopher Nolan behind it. Those things are selling that movie.
I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Exactly.
I guess we all felt like that one way or another.
Mm-hmm. And Oppenheimer does not fear the pink bomb that is going to be Barbie. Not that Barbie's going to be a bomb. I'm just saying it's a metaphor.
Bomb.
It's metaphorical. How's your Barbie watch?
Garth's got it too. Now I become Death Destroyer of Worlds. Yeah. Anyways, silliness is over. Let's see. Anthony Manzano is asking, with James Gunn going to DC, who do you think Marvel and Kevin Feige they're going to replace James Gunn with as Kevin's second in command for the cosmic MCU? I don't know. Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, James Gunn really has been the only person like handling anything like in outer space. I mean, technically, you could also possibly say the Russos, because of the Russo brothers, the Russos. You could possibly maybe say them, but I don't know if and when they may return to the MCU.
I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of anybody needing to be a second in command for cosmic stuff, just because at this point, all of Marvel is kind of intermingling with the whole multiverse saga and everything that's happening. Cosmic stuff is going to be intermixed with Earthbound stuff. It's all going to be part of the same. It's not going to feel like two different realities or whatever. It's all going to mash together. And we've had that since Endgame, when the Guardians of the Galaxy were face to face with the likes of Iron Man or Captain America or something like that. So I think we will inevitably have that situation. I don't know if they're going to have someone necessarily like in charge specifically over that. So
yeah. We'll look at other movie news coming up. So again, we didn't do Tagline last week. One of the big pieces of movie news, and I just want to briefly touch about this, but was it WB Discovery head Zaslav? I like just referring to him like by his last name, like he's a disembodied like head, kind of like the Wizard of Oz type of thing. Zaslav. The great and powerful Zaslav. Once more, Harry Potter and Superman. So I don't know if this has been said anywhere else ever on the internet, but it's going to be kind of hard to do more Harry Potter. There really aren't any other stories.
There's the one story they can do off of like the stage show that was like about Harry Potter's kid. But I think that there's been a lot of statements that maybe they're not interested in doing that particular story. But if that's the case, like outside of some more Harry Potter books being written, there's not really any other stories to tell for Harry Potter. Unless you start making stuff up, which, I mean, I guess you could make stuff up. I feel like they did that for the Game of Thrones season finale. Or maybe all of season 8 was made up because George R.R. Martin did not finish the books yet.
What else?
But anyway,
what else? There's been other things. Well, okay, like
Cursed Child. That's it. Thank you, Lego.
What am I thinking of? Stephen King. Like Stephen King didn't actually write a sequel to Carrie. They made a movie anyways. He didn't write a sequel to Pet Sematary. They made a movie anyways. So
I mean, based on that knowledge, maybe that's just what they end up doing going forward. Maybe they're going to do like a whole new class of wizards at Hogwarts, and maybe Harry Potter is a teacher or something. I don't know. I actually never watched the last Harry Potter movie. You can hate me for that. I don't care. Maybe they go on and like someone else is teaching at Hogwarts or something like that. So they could do that. They would just have to make it up. And if that's the case, I think that's probably more where they would want to lean towards because of all of the stuff around J.K. Rowling.
And that's the other thing, is just so many people just don't like J.K. Rowling. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do anything else based off of her works.
Yeah.
So
it's just more of a question, I think, at that point as to whether or not she gets a cut of anything, even if it's made up, because it's still using the universe, the characters that she made up. So,
yeah. As far as Superman, now I know Zaslav, the Great and Powerful, has not been a part of Warner Brothers for very long. But I'm thinking as like the person in charge of like Warner Brothers, so he speaks on behalf of Warner Brothers. Y'all could have done more with Superman. Like, we've been wanting Warner Brothers to do Superman stuff for the past couple of years. Like, how much more do we need to yell in the ether about a Man of Steel 2? Because everyone's been asking for that since Man of Steel 1. So y'all could have done it already.
There's the pros of having a new guy coming in, taking over everything, because they weren't doing Superman before, and now he's coming in and saying, I want to do Superman now. Let's do Superman now. You guys weren't doing it. We're going to do it now because I'm in charge and I'm saying Superman's coming.
Thank God.
Also because we saw Superman and Black Adam. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
I think you all should know that by now because The Rock spoiled it before any of us saw the movie anyway.
Oh, sorry. I said thank God. I actually meant thank James Gunn. So, anyways.
The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is changing.
Yeah. So freaking Zaslav. So let's move on to another story here. This was interesting that James Cameron has a contingency plan as far as what to do. Pretty much the plan is to end after the third Avatar movie if the second Avatar movie sucks.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we didn't do the reaction to the latest trailer. I can't remember, like, just wasn't feeling well or something or whatever. I will give you my opinion of it. I'm not super eager for this Avatar movie. People who followed this channel, followed us for a while, know I'm not a huge fan of the first Avatar. It's all right. We did go to the theater. We rewatched it again. I enjoyed it a little bit more on this second rewatch. The visuals are still phenomenal. I love the way it looks. They do a great job with that. With the exception that I can't tell the Na'vi apart.
That's racist.
I know, but like
that's racist.
It's a fake species, so I feel like I'm okay with saying that.
Yeah, you can tell humans apart. You can tell the people who are part of real species. That's fine. Fake species.
And I think that's why, like, because the Na'vi are humanoid-ish. So they have some human features, but a lot of the lack of human features is just like grabbing your hand and holding it as you walk into that uncanny valley. So in that last trailer, I had a hard time trying to figure out, wait, so is that Jake Sully or which one is
Jake Sully?
I can't tell. So, yeah, I like the visual still looks good. It looks impressive.
Yeah,
it just doesn't look interesting story-wise, and
but
I
that's
don't have a lot of hopes for it.
That's the thing, is right now the visuals are the biggest sell for me too. Like, obviously, I have no idea where the story's going to go. After we did the freaking Pocahontas Ferngully Dances with Wolves ripoff, I don't know where they're going to take the story after that. We get a little bit of the idea in the story here. It looks like the humans are coming back as Giovanni Ribisi so desperately threatened at the end of the first movie. We'll be back. We're coming back. So it looks like the humans are coming back to Pandora. But now it looks like the Na'vi are turning to one of their other tribes that focus on, being a colony in water, essentially. And I don't know, just honestly for me, it looks like the visuals make it feel like a nice chill vacation of a movie. There's going to be like war and fighting and stuff, but the water, all of that, just like, I'm into it. I am super into it. The story is fine. I will take the story, whatever, but I am actually eager for this movie. That being said, you're not, I am. That means that there's probably a split base amongst individuals choosing to go see Avatar 2. Some people may not go see Avatar 2. And if that happens, it's true that James Cameron does have that contingency plan in place to not make 4 and 5, to alter the storyline so that it ends in the third one, which there's an interesting discussion behind that. I think if you can alter the storyline to end at the third one, then what is the storyline supposed to be for 4 and 5?
Yeah. If it could theoretically end. So for comparison, I don't know if anyone read about the making of Halloween Ends. that recently came out. Apparently, at one point, there was a news story where the director, David Gordon Green, was saying that there's multiple endings they could go with, and he still wasn't certain which ending he wanted to go with in that. And it wasn't until like weeks before the movie was officially released that he decided on what would be the official end to that movie. So kind of the same thing, like, well, what else were you planning on doing? And especially now that we've all seen Halloween Ends, I'm really curious as to what some of those endings could have been. Like, could any of them have been a better movie? Or can we just get rid of that Corey kid like altogether from the very beginning? Because that would be nice.
Who knows? Yeah. I'm eager to see Avatar 2. I'm ready for it. It's gonna come out next month, so I'm interested. I think it'll be fine.
I don't have high hopes, like, unfortunately.
And see, that might be the right way to go into it. Lower the bar so when you come out, you're like, that's actually better than I was expecting.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, like, I feel like this is one of those, like, I've had low expectations for a movie. I go in, I watch it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. That's fine. This is, my feeling on this is I feel like I'm going to go in so negative that even if the movie has, like, any kind of, like, redeeming positivity, I'm probably not going to see it. I'm probably just going to be so stuck in the negative of it that this could actually be, like, the most wonderful movie ever made, and I'm just gonna be like, it's all right. It just
That is completely up to you.
Yeah, I mean that's just that, and people who are like that, unfortunately, it's just going to be how your brain works. Me, it's based off of, I would say, it's because I didn't like the first one as much, so I don't have high hopes for the second one. You were okay with the first one, so you're still open to being pleasantly surprised by the second one being good.
I don't think that
so this makes sense.
I don't think Avatar 1 deserves to be the best movie of all time in the box office. I don't think it, like, I understand why it earned that spot, why it got to that spot, and a lot of it has to do with it being in 3D and that being a big deal when it first came out. I don't think it deserves to be in that number one spot, but it's a good movie. I like it. It's perfectly okay, you know? I like it. It's a good movie. Yeah. It sounds like I'm really trying to convince you guys and myself that it's actually a good movie, but no, I do like it. It is a good movie, so...
Yeah, Lego says one of the endings was the Silver Shamrock Corporation making his mask. That would have been funny,
for
especially
Avatar?
if he puts on the new mask and the movie just ends with the beginning of that song. Chris doesn't understand this reference.
It's a weird moment in Avatar. That's right.
No, this was in talking about Halloween Ends. Anyways, yeah. So,
horror movies.
Yeah. Whenever Robert and Lego are on stream talking about horror movies.
Movies.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. This isn't like any official announcement, but this is like kind of like a funny like little news story that Twitter has enjoyed, I guess, talking about. Apparently, I guess it was on Drew Barrymore's talk show. She was interviewing Millie Bobby Brown, and Millie Bobby Brown was commenting about how much she would like to play Britney Spears if they ever make a Britney Spears biopic. Ooh. So, real quick, everyone's thoughts and ideas as to exactly like how they think this would go.
With Millie Bobby Brown playing Britney Spears. Younger, when Britney Spears was just starting out, I actually think it's excellent casting. That would be excellent casting because, one, Millie Bobby Brown's incredibly talented. I think she is more than capable of handling it. Two, you get the right makeup, she's going to look exactly like young Britney Spears. I think she's going to look like 1-to-1 exactly like young Britney Spears. So I can easily see it.
Yeah. There is... like around the time that Stranger Things 4 was coming out, all the kids were making like the press rounds. She was on the Tonight Show wearing some kind of like purple poofy feathery thing with like bright blonde hair all done like in pigtails or something or another.
Yeah.
she looked like Britney Spears there, and I was like, I originally thought like she could like play like a Britney Spears. Yeah, and Garth is also saying she could. She looks like a young Carrie Fisher. I see that as well.
She's starting to grow out of the young Carrie Fisher thing, in that I would have been down, like say earlier seasons of Stranger Things, I would have been down to see her portray a young child, teenage, preteen, whatever age version of Princess Leia. I think that would have worked for like an earlier Princess Leia story.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think she's actually aging out of the potential for that role, because now we're getting to the point where we have what Princess Leia was in A New Hope, how old she was in A New Hope at this point. So
I think she's got the acting ability to do a Britney Spears biopic.
I think she does look like her.
The looks, I think she looks enough like her that with makeup and hairstyling and costuming, she's gonna be close enough. Like it'll be believable. Kind of like was it Austin Butler? Really doesn't look like Elvis, but with the makeup and hairstyling and costuming, I think he pulled it off. I thought he did a very good job as Elvis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he looked about as much like Elvis as Millie Bobby Brown looks like Britney Spears. So, but yeah, I like that. Freaking Garth. Natalie Portman and shave her head down like in V for Vendetta. That's funny. I think she could pull it off. The only question I would have is her singing ability, especially because Britney Spears, especially early Britney Spears, has a very specific singing ability. Like if you hear her earlier songs, you can recognize it's Britney Spears with that or however she does it. Yeah. Yeah, or whatever. I can't do it. But
I don't even know what you were trying to reference.
Yeah. One, can she do that? And two, if she can't, what's the plausibility of just replacing her voice? For example, in that the Weird Al movie, every time Al in the movie, played by Daniel Radcliffe, sings, it's actually Weird Al's voice. He's not actually singing Weird Al. So,
I mean,
so
theoretically,
if
they're respectful of Britney Spears and she has like a hand in it and says like, yeah, I would love to see this movie happen. I almost don't see any reason why she couldn't also do her own singing voice. She still sounds like herself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They transform. Yeah, but Lily James, they transformed her into Pamela Anderson, and she damn near looked exactly like Pamela Anderson.
Pamela,
yeah. Is Britney considered a good singer? That's one of those, I think, like it depends on the song. And unfortunately, most of her earlier songs are all like that bubblegum pop that it's kind of hard to gauge. I thought the same with Lady Gaga. Like Lady Gaga's first songs, like Poker Face and Just Dance and stuff, they're all like pop hits that got played in the club, auto-tune her voice a little bit. And then what's that song that she has, like 100 Reasons or something like that? Something like that. A more recent song where it's a calm song.
Yes.
She's playing a piano, something like that. You can actually tell her singing voice, and her voice sounds phenomenal. Like I wouldn't mind seeing Lady Gaga in concert live. So
yeah, Lady Gaga is actually really good. I don't know if Britney Spears has the same vocal range, but
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Indiana Jones is getting a show on Disney Plus, apparently. I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark that it's not Harrison Ford playing him, though.
Very likely no. That man is old, and he's apparently going to be busy playing Thunderbolt Ross now. So
yeah. I have a feeling this, I hadn't actually read up on any details of this, but I'm going to guess that this is going to be somewhere between like the actual young Indiana Jones show from like the early 90s, and between that time frame and the time frame of Temple of Doom technically is before Raiders. So somewhere in there, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, likely. I mean, we're definitely looking at a young Indiana Jones here. If it's called Indiana Jones, it's focusing on Indiana Jones. we're probably looking at a young Indiana Jones here. The other idea could be that maybe it's a show that is a sequel, a legacy sequel to the movies themselves. And Indiana Jones becomes a title essentially that Ke Huy Quan takes on as he reprises his role from number 2. So we could see it Short Round, I believe. Yeah, Short Round coming back. That would be an interesting thing, considering that as far as we know, he's not going to be in the new 5th Indiana Jones movie that's coming out. So it would be interesting to see if he decides to take up the mantle of Indiana Jones or what have you, and we get him, much later in life, obviously, because how old was Short Round in the second movie?
Like
10
or 11. That was also roughly around the same time he did the Goonies as Data.
So what decade was Temple of Doom in?
Temple of Doom was supposed to be, so it was
30s
supposed,
or 40s.
It was supposed to be, probably like the late 20s, early 30s, probably somewhere around there.
So then maybe we're looking at him basically being able to play Short Round 70s, 80s? Or is that too old?
I might be too old.
Add 40 years. So 60s, 70s. So maybe around maybe early 70s at the latest.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. That would be interesting if they wanted to go in that direction and kind of bring the Indiana Jones franchise closer and closer to modern day. Still a ways off. I mean, we're still talking about 50 years ago almost at this point. So, it's still a ways off here, but it would be interesting. It'd be an interesting direction to take the entire franchise. We'll have to see. It's on Disney Plus. Obviously, Disney Plus has, the rights to Lucasfilm. So they're probably going to do something maybe geared a little more family friendly on that, even though they have Deadpool and Logan and the Netflix Marvel shows on the same service. Who knows? Maybe we might see something the whole family can enjoy out of Indiana Jones there, as long as they're not pulling out more people's hearts and watching their meat melt to their skulls.
I bet you just love seeing that when that was
literally my least favorite aspects of the Indiana Jones movies. The rest of the movies are great.
Interesting. Anyways, next movie topic. So I actually didn't know too much about this. I had heard that there's going to be a spinoff from John Wick, starring Ana de Armas as an assassin herself. The spinoff is called Ballerina, and they announced that both Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane are going to have some kind of part in it. They're going to be a part of that as well. So I'm wondering what exactly they're going to be. I mean, the supporting roles, obviously, probably more of like a glorified cameo.
I think that's it. I think they're just going to be cameo roles. Obviously, it's a spinoff, so it's not going to be. I don't think we're going to have John Wick heavily focused at all on this. I think there's going to be maybe. I wouldn't say it's going to be passing reference. If he's going to appear, he's going to appear. So it's not just going to be a reference to him. He'll be there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do exactly with that, because it's going to effectively be a cameo. They're going to be cameos. I mean, we know Ian McShane was in charge of the Continental, so there's a good chance they're going to end up back there at some point. I know they're still working on. Was it a movie or a TV show they're doing based off the Continental?
I think it was supposed to be like an HBO show.
Yeah, so there's still the potential for that, I guess, but I would imagine that their roles in this movie are going to be minimal. They're going to be, cameos. They're going to be, someone, maybe she has to go somewhere and they're just going to have like a scene where it's not just a cameo, but rather just a whole entire scene that the two of them are a part of, doing something, helping out Ana de Armas' character in some capacity. So That'd be interesting. I mean, we like the John Wick movies. They're good. They're solid action movies. And I am very eager to see Ana de Armas get her own solid action movie in the same vein, because she was killer in that James Bond movie.
I would say we also are fans of Ana de Armas. Some of us more than others.
Enough that I don't mind seeing her in a movie, but not enough that I'm going to watch Blonde.
Yeah. I still I was all set and ready to watch that, and then I just continued living my life
because it got longer and you heard it was, so you're like, I really don't want to waste my time if that's the case.
Like if for some weird ass reason it starts getting nominated for some kind of Oscars, then I might have to revisit it just because I'm an Oscar nomination completist now. But
I don't think so. Maybe Ana de Armas gets a nomination, but I don't think we're gonna be we're gonna see too much from Blonde at the Oscar race.
Yeah. Anyways,
maybe hair and makeup. I don't know.
This next news story would have been like our main topic, but it just came out today, and I had already created the thumbnail, and I didn't want to change the thumbnail. So this is essentially like a main topic type of story, but we're going to still talk about like Shawn Levy and the Star Wars things here in a minute. Speaking of James Gunn, he is talking about like how excited he is to take over the DC universe, or what used to be known as the DCEU. And he's posted an image of Lobo. Which, if y'all don't know who Lobo is, he's a
bunch of fragging bastitches.
He's a fragging bastich Zarnian bounty hunter. He's a badass guy. Like I like Lobo, and
he's got a wild sense of humor too.
Yeah. So he posted a picture of Lobo saying like basically hinting he wants to develop a Lobo movie. At the same time, we've gotten hints from Jason Momoa saying that now DC is about to do something. He's about to make like his dream movie with DC. Problem is Jason Momoa is already known and established as Aquaman in the DC universe, and he's doing a fantastic job at Aquaman. I'm not again, if y'all have watched us, you follow us for any given time, I don't like the Aquaman character. It's just boring. Fish dude. Don't care. I'm actually more interested in seeing Namor in Wakanda Forever tomorrow than I am anything having to do with Aquaman. And I really wasn't a big Namor fan either.
Yeah.
But I like what Jason Momoa has done with this Aquaman character. He's made Aquaman interesting. The movie, again, I'm not an Aquaman fan, but the movie was interesting and intriguing enough to entertain me. I have watched it more than once. Jason Momoa does a fantastic job with that version of Aquaman, making him seem cool and relevant.
Yeah.
The problem is I really love the idea of Jason Momoa playing Lobo.
He's like perfect.
That is the role he is born. He was born. He popped out of his mom, and everyone's like, that's a future Lobo right there. I guarantee it. That's exactly what happened in real life. True story. So I want to see this, but I'm really scared how that's going to conflict with things. The reasoning where I come up with being scared about this is, and this is a point of reference I use a lot, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. For a while, they were not allowed to use Electro or Sandman as villains because they were in the process, James Cameron was in the process of developing a Spider-Man movie that was going to use Electro and Sandman as the villains. They didn't want to put them in the cartoon because they didn't want people to be confused as to why Electro and Sandman are in the cartoon and why they're in the movie and who they are. I don't know.
The choices they made back then were so weird.
Basically, what they're saying is everyone is just way too stupid to understand the difference between a cartoon and a live action movie. Given that, even if that's true, even if like the entire human race is just full of complete morons that are unable to separate this, it's going to get confusing between Jason Momoa is obviously Aquaman, but he's also going to obviously be Lobo. This isn't like Gemma Chan in the MCU where she plays Cersei that you can obviously tell is Gemma Chan, but then she's also Minerva in Captain Marvel, where she's under blue makeup. She doesn't have a very prevalent role. She has a few lines.
Her character dies.
Yeah, like you're not going to get those confused. So
Yeah.
how is this going to work with him playing both Aquaman and Lobo?
Well, I think there's the one thing you look at is there's not necessarily a reason to have Aquaman and Lobo meet within the DC movies. They just don't have to. Lobo can stick around. He's the type of character that honestly can stick around for a Superman movie. Maybe you spin him off into his own trilogy. You don't have to. Maybe he gets his own movie like Black Adam. That's possible. But he's not someone that I think you necessarily need to do a whole long franchise over. I think you give him a couple appearances in a couple different things and you call it a day for Lobo. You know, don't overuse him. That being said, again, I don't think Lobo and Aquaman have to interact. I know that they have interacted in the comics before, but they don't have to interact in the movies. So we don't need to have Jason Momoa being both at the same time in the same movie. But I think the problem also is that I think that both of us are sitting here saying, you know, yeah, Jason Momoa has been excellent as Aquaman for the version of Aquaman that they're doing what they want to do with the character. He's been excellent at it. But damn it, I give up Aquaman if they're going to cast him as Lobo and just decide that he's Lobo from now on. Freaking Flashpoint Aquaman out of there or whatever the hell. Get a new Aquaman in. I don't care.
You're probably already getting rid of Mara. Might as well.
That's probably true. Yeah, I would be very eager to see Momoa as Lobo because if you see the two of them side by side, Momoa is Lobo. He looks exactly like Lobo. This is like, for me, this is a casting choice that is equal to that of Patrick Stewart playing Professor X. It just makes sense. Everyone's already been thinking about it. If it weren't for the fact that he's already been playing Aquaman, it just like that would be, everyone would be going, hey, that guy needs to play Lobo. You don't have him anything yet. He needs to play Lobo. The problem is that he is Aquaman also. So I don't know. Right now, it sounds like that they are leaning in the direction of Momoa is going to be playing two characters in the DC universe, which is about par for the course at this point for the DC movie universe to be like, whatever, just do things. Just do things and we'll figure it out later. That's what it's starting to feel like in a lot of ways. Like, hey, we got Black Adam. We introduced the Justice Society. Where'd they come from? How long have they been around? Who are they? What was their story? I don't know. We'll worry about it later. Just put them in the movie. Like, I feel like hopefully James Gunn is going to help kind of steer things correctly so that we're not doing this. Just throw some things at the wall and see what sticks kind of movie making, because that's how you kill these shared universes. The reason why Marvel works is because Kevin Feige has people in place besides just himself who are keeping track of continuity. They are keeping track of what is happening and when it's happening, so they don't step on themselves.
It's called the internet. That's all of our jobs.
He's actually got people. He actually has people in that role. So I don't know. Nerd says maybe James Gunn is just teasing us with his fun ideas.
I mean,
could be. I think Lobo will end up in a movie. If we've got freaking Atom Smasher in a movie, you know, it's not his own movie, it's a Black Adam movie, but if we've got Atom Smasher in a movie, I don't see any reason why we won't see Lobo at some point in a movie. And if you're going to cast him, you know, even if he's just one appearance, yeah, maybe you do one appearance with Jason Momoa and then you call it a day for Lobo in a movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get over to the main topic. Shawn Levy has been announced to be directing a Star Wars movie. The reason why this is a funny topic, it's Shawn Levy. So doing a Star Wars movie. I mean, that's not much different than saying Taika Watiti is going to do a Star Wars movie as well. So, I mean, beside the point. The other one, though, is so far, Lucasfilm, they've got a huge list of directors working on movies with no actual mentioning of what these movies are. I think like we got like a little bit of like the movie that Patty Jenkins is doing. We got a little bit of an idea of what that's kind of sort of about, but that's it. We don't know anything about Taika Waititi's movie. Who else is doing movies? Like I know that's more than just the 3 I put in the thumbnail.
Yeah. Ryan Johnson's still supposed to have like a trilogy of some sort at some point. They're still kind of sitting on that. They said that Kevin Feige was supposed to be producing something at some point. I know at one point the Game of Thrones dudes, those guys were supposed to do something. I think they had obviously backed out since that point or been let go, whatever. There's been a number of people who've come in and have been said to direct or produce or create a Star Wars movie of some sort.
Aren't the Duffer Brothers going to do something too? Like, I can't remember. I can't keep track of this. But we've got like a huge list of people who are going to be doing something with no mentioning as to what it is they're going to be doing.
Right.
And I don't feel like you see that very often. Like, you definitely don't see that in the MCU. Like, MCU, for example, we've spent a better part of this year, like, acknowledging that there's going to be a Fantastic Four movie, but everyone trying to figure out who's directing it and then who's going to be starring in it. Like, that's the way I feel like we all ingest movie news. We get told there's a movie, then we get told the director, then we get told the cast. That's the way it goes. Here we've got like this person's directing a movie, this person's directing a movie, this person's directing. We know nothing else. So it's very odd because what I feel like what's eventually going to happen is they're going to start cramming in all this news at once. Like probably like at Star Wars Celebration or something, they'll start cramming in like, oh, well, here's Shawn Levy's movies. Here's Taika Waititi's movie. Here's more information about Patty Jenkins' movie.
Yeah.
And we're just going to get overloaded with Star Wars movie news and stuff while the only thing that's seemingly moving forward with Star Wars right now is just TV shows. We just got like that list of the massive cast that's going to be in The Acolyte, which that sounds like that's going to be pretty interesting.
It's going to, especially with the direction they're going on with Andor right now. If they kind of keep the same tone and everything going into Acolyte, that's going to be a really good show.
So was it Acolyte was the one that is going to be starring Amandla Steinberg and Daphne Keane and Carrie Ann Moss?
Yeah, and and Homeboy from Squid Games.
Huh, interesting.
He's in it too.
Yeah, it's so the one that caught my eye was Daphne Keane being announced because I saw like the picture of her and I was like, I recognize this person. I can't remember where. I didn't see the name underneath. And I was like, oh, it's Daphne Keane from Logan. All right, X-23 is going to be in this. That's cool. Which, that's great. I'm really surprised we haven't really seen her doing too much. I think she's been in a TV show. I think we talked about this on my stream last night. She's been like in a TV show or something that I haven't watched. But I'm really surprised we haven't seen her like in more movies because she did phenomenal in Logan.
She was probably one of the best parts of Logan also, for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about like all these people who are given like different positions, director positions, I guess, for Star Wars. I think it kind of makes me feel like that Lucasfilm doesn't really know what they're doing right now. Like they've got TV figured out. The Star Wars on TV, they've been nailing that. Your thoughts and opinions on Book of Boba Fett aside, there's definitely great aspects about that show. There's definitely some flawed aspects about that show.
The great aspects were called season 2.5 of Mandalorian.
It is basically season 2.5 of Mandalorian. Yeah. The entire show was, not even just the arc that Mandalorian was a part of. It just felt like if you crack open your Bible, there's different books in the Bible, one of which is the Book of Boba Fett in the larger story of the Mandalorian, or Star Wars, I guess. I don't know, but it felt related to the Mandalorian. It felt like a continuation. That being said, they've been nailing TV. We haven't seen a movie from Star Wars since Rise of Skywalker, since they ended the trilogy, which I get. You want to take a break. We just ended, the trilogy, the big sequel trilogy. We want to take a pause, take a break, kind of realign and reassess what stories we want to start telling. But now we've been talking a whole lot about this director and this producer and that writer and this director, and this person's got to have a trilogy. This person's getting a standalone. This person's supposed to do maybe like a spiritual sequel to Rogue One. Well, this person's going to do a completely separate movie, different from everything else, that's set in a different time period. Like, are y'all? I feel like once, like DC, we're just kind of throwing things at a wall right now, and we're seeing what sticks. And I think if you wait too long on any of these single projects, which it really feels like they're waiting too long on a lot of these projects, you're going to see people start dropping out. I mean, we're talking about, has it been confirmed that Patty Jenkins is just kind of donezo? Because I think there's been at least a lot of rumors and stuff talking about how she's kind of dropping Rogue Squadron. And someone else is
officially been said yet.
Yeah, so I mean, we know Taika Watiti revealed like a logo he was playing around with, which looked like a fun little 80s like Schoolhouse Rock looking Star Wars logo kind of situation, like Galaxy Punk or whatever type idea. What is he doing? I mean, we've been talking about his movie, I think, for the past 2 years now. We've been talking about Rian Johnson getting a trilogy since after The Last Jedi. And, that was the second movie in the sequel trilogy. That's been, since 2017. It's been a while. So, I don't know.
I think there's two things at play. One, that the main Star Wars story is done. We've finished the original trilogy, the prequel and the sequel's done.
For
no
now.
more. We're done with the Skywalker story, whatever.
For now.
Yeah, for the most part. And then they tried venturing off into these like Star Wars stories. Solo did terrible. Both, I guess, I can't remember how much it did in box office wise, but I mean, word of mouth, people just don't like Solo for the most part.
Your deep entrenched Star Wars fans have found something to like about it, and they support it, and they want like a sequel to it, which is fine. So I'd rather they do like a whole TV show with it, but other than that, I'm not a big fan of Solo.
I think that's where we're at. Is they're just too afraid to move forward with any movie that's not a part of the main Star Wars story, since that's done, and they're kind of leery about venturing back into these like one-off stories or something. And so I guess they're trying to pump out the Disney Plus shows to really like build up the fan base again, bring back the people who enjoyed the original trilogy, get the people who really liked the prequel trilogy, like bring that all back, bring back that nostalgia, give us good feelings about Star Wars again. And then they'll start making the bigger budget movies that are going to require your money to sustain.
I'm just really curious because, like, one, so we were talking about Shawn Levy, him coming in. We know that Shawn Levy has been working with Ryan Reynolds a lot lately. Free Guy. He did Project Adam. Yeah. We know he's already on board for Deadpool 3. And I'm not saying that Ryan Reynolds is going to be in a Star Wars movie, but what I'm saying is that we know Shawn Levy's tone. He's definitely more comedic, although his turn with Project Adam I thought was really good.
Stranger Things.
He's also Stranger Things also.
He's also been a big part of Stranger Things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like, I'm just curious to see what his tone for a Star Wars movie would be, but also at the same time, I trust this news with an absolute grain of salt, because we've gotten so many people that are saying, "Oh yeah, this person's going to do a Star Wars movie. This person's going to do a Star Wars movie." Again. We've been talking about Rian Johnson doing a Star Wars trilogy since like right after 2017. He's asked about it every so often, and every so often his answer is, yeah, it's still in the works, still going to happen. But nothing much more than that. And they've been sitting on this idea for 5 years with no news or no anything being put towards it. So my thought is, hey, maybe when you guys are actually ready to start, working on and filming another Star Wars movie, maybe that's when you should start announcing people who are working on projects for Star Wars. When you're at least a little bit closer, when you're maybe even a year out and for a fact you're a year out from starting work on a movie, then maybe you can make an announcement. But I don't think we need to be doing all these announcing this person's with Star Wars, because I think that's just drumming up hype. And right now you're letting that hype wane and die because these movies aren't coming out right now. They are putting a pause on those movies for quite a while. So what do I think about Shawn Levy doing a Star Wars? Sure. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Star Wars.
I'm doing a Star War. I'm sure it'll be fine. I have no idea what his tone for it would be. He's a capable director. He's done stuff that I like multiple times. But I just don't believe it until we actually start working on some of these projects, because what's going to happen when Shawn Levy and Taika Watiti are asked in 4 or 5 years, hey, what happened to that Star Wars project you're supposed to be working on? And they are also turning around going, it's still in the works. It's still coming.
It's going to be.
Have an idea of what you're doing and then make announcements, guys.
It's like the Dwayne Johnson Black Adam issue that he's been talking about making a Black Adam movie for so long that when it finally came out, we're like, all right, well, here's that thing he was talking about.
We finally got it. And honestly, like, I know there are people out there that actually did like Black Adam. It's fine. I think it's fine. It's not the best movie. It's not the worst movie. It's fine. It's okay. It did its job. It did what it's supposed to do, I guess. It could have been better. But the fact that we've been waiting on it essentially since 2007, 2008, when he was attached to start working on it. No, that movie did not live up to the hype of 14 years.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
let's stop announcing things and start working on them. Start working on the things we got on our plate and announce things when we get closer to actually getting them started.
Yeah, because at this point, they're just going to announce like everyone in Hollywood is working on something Star Wars related. We're not going to clarify to what, but they're all working something Star Wars. And eventually we'll see the announcement of the Cinefanatics are directing a Star Wars movie. And we're like, okay.
We are.
We don't know what we're directing, but we're going to direct one. So that'll work, I guess.
This is our official announcement tonight. You guys heard it here first. We're directing a Star Wars movie. It's not going to come out for another 50 years.
50?
50.
Oh, God. I'm going to be into my 90s making a Star Wars movie. By then, I expect to actually have, like, being able to film on a real, like, TIE Fighter or Millennium Falcon, because they'll be in existence by then.
And this is also, like, after Tom Cruise has already gone to space, so we know that we can actually shoot movies in space now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The Cinefanatics are directing Boba Watch. It's funny.
Boba Watch. I'm Boba Fett.
Is that where like we go to like one of those like Asian restaurants and order like a boba tea and we're just watching us like carry this like all these little tapioca balls on the... Yes, it's the same cup I was using during the podcast recording earlier. Continuity there.
Same.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll find out next week.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for movie news and well for the tagline. So let's quickly wrap up. Patreon. Hop on the Patreon. Join the tier that's good for you if you want to support us and you have the means to hop on those tiers. Wednesday the 16th at like right after tagline, but let's say roughly around 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. We'll be doing the movie watch along. If you're at the $5 due tier, you can join us for the movie watch along of Knives Out. Come join us right before we all are able to watch Glass Onion. Real quick on that, I know Glass Onion's coming out in the theaters for like a week or so, I believe, at the end of this month. And then it won't be available on Netflix until the end of next month. So that's why we're doing Knives Out now. Let's go ahead and watch it because I know at least the two of us are going to go see Glass Onion in the theater. So We're not waiting until Netflix a whole nother month. Knives Out was a good movie. I want to see the sequel now. So,
Right.
yeah. Also, from what I've been told, if you haven't watched the newest trailer that was released like a day or two ago for Glass Onion, apparently don't watch it. I have not watched it.
Neither have I.
Yeah, apparently there's maybe something spoilery in it. So just
Interesting.
if you're interested in Glass Onion, if you liked Knives Out, you're gonna go watch Glass Onion anyways. Don't watch the trailer. Just save yourself.
I'm glad you said something. I'm glad we heard about that because I would have eventually watched it at some point and gotten spoiled. And I don't want to be spoiled. I like to watch whodunits unspoiled
And not knowing who done it.
and not knowing who done it.
Yeah. So yeah, don't watch that, but yeah. Anyways, so we do have that movie watch along coming up on Wednesday the 30th, the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. We do have the movie trivia hangout. If you're at the Maverick tier, the $25 tier on our Patreon, come join us. I am going to be writing questions about Christmas movies. If you like Christmas movies or you think you know a ton about Christmas movies, come join us, test that knowledge. Let's see how well you can answer these questions. I feel like my questions of horror movies were, I feel like, pretty good. I know there were a lot of people in our Patreon during that weren't necessarily horror movie fans, namely my brother and Garth, and I think both of y'all still did pretty well with some of these questions. I mean, a lot of them were just like, hey, you have passing knowledge of this, and it wasn't something as stupid as like, who's the killer in Nightmare on Elm Street, because everyone knows that.
I held my own.
Yeah.
My own what? I don't know, but I held it.
Yeah. Anyways, so the trailer reaction should be the two of us sitting there quietly for a couple of minutes and then say, we didn't watch it. Yeah, it's a great reaction.
That's a thought.
Anyways, so
that's
that is coming up. That's coming up at the end of this month on the 30th. On the 25th, Friday, November 25th, this is the Friday after Thanksgiving, we will be doing the marquee ranking food movies. If you are a part of our Patreon, you can hop over into our Discord, click on the marquee channel. You will see the list of movies that we are ranking. So if there's any of those that you haven't seen, feel free to catch up on that before we do the marquee. So you're able to share your opinions and have like a word in on this in the chat as well. So anyways, that's coming up. And then, of course, the big announcement is our very first episode of the Cinefanatics podcast will be available this coming Tuesday, wherever you get your podcast streaming at. And then we will also have a video version of it right here on this channel. So that will be on Tuesday. I don't know what time, just sometime on Tuesday. Be on the lookout for it. I think that's one of those. We're probably not going to premiere it. I'm probably just going to put it out there and y'all are free to watch it.
Yeah, and then we might end up, depending on how it goes, maybe pick a set time that these things debut on. Should we find ourselves in a good rhythm of being able to pump them out by that time every single time? So first couple episodes at the very least, they're going to be released on Tuesdays. We're going to try to get them released on Tuesdays. Just be on the lookout for them. After that, we'll see how they take shape in terms of coming out in the future. We're going to probably stick with Tuesdays though. So
yeah. And then the only other thing is tomorrow night we will be watching Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We'll have a spoiler-free review out and available for you to watch tomorrow evening at some point. Probably going to be late tomorrow evening, more than likely, but it will be available later tomorrow night. Again, spoiler-free review. Not spoiling a damn thing from that movie.
No, which side note, our set is done as it is right now. We might change some things around, like stuff on shelves and whatnot in the future, but as it stands right now, the set is done. It's how we want it to look for this next iteration, this next season of Cinefanatics, essentially. You're going to see it for the first time on the Black Panther review, even though we just shot the podcast, the first episode of the podcast out there today. Your first example, y'all's first witnessing the brand new glorious set is going to be on the review tomorrow night. So Maybe.
Yes, Garth. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yes, the Joker poster is back. So that'll be a lot of fun. We do actually talk about that briefly on the podcast. Even though it's a podcast, it's kind of weird because we're trying to talk to audio audience, but we have to mention that anyway. So,
Yep.
No, I did not. It's nice. I very much love how it looks.
The only thing we spared the expense on is just actually renting out and purchasing a place that isn't our apartment.
Yeah. Brian's asking, is the podcast audio only or video form? Both.
¿Por qué no los dos?
When did you learn Spanish?
Just that one phrase.
Okay. Was that from whatchamacallit? Nacho Libre?
It's from a taco ad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so again, it's going to be available wherever you get podcasts in an audio format. There is a video version of it that will be on the channel on Tuesday as well. So if you actually want to see us while we're talking. So next marquee is food movies. That is on Friday the 25th, the day after Thanksgiving. Seems appropriate. So
when we're all full of food, we're going to be talking about movies about food.
Yes. So anyways, that's what we got coming up. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone being here. Thank y'all for being in the chat, commenting. We appreciate it. Everyone, make sure you drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share it if you can. Any way you have to share. Get other people to watch us too. Then that way they can ask you, what the hell are you making me watch?
What are these two doofuses doing on the screen?
It's always fun. Anyways, so that's going to do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for being here. We will see. Well, let me see what else we need to plug other things real quick. Follow us. Cinefanatics, MLP, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And you can now also follow me, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP. Yes, you have to stick that @ sign in the address of the YouTube channel. So whatever. youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP.
And you can find me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as a URL that's much easier to remember, twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP, where I'm also streaming and having fun and games. Fun and games.
Yep. Anyways, now I thank y'all for being here and watching, and we are ending this. Y'all all have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Bye.